All right. Hey, everybody. It's Brian over here at NurseHub coming to you with another TEAS 7 Math Monday. I am back this week. Hey, Mitch. Good to see you. Hey, well, hi. I was not here last week, partially based in NLN. We were in Orlando last week as a team, which was pretty cool. And then, Monday. I don't know about y'all, but I need to stretch. I threw my back out. But we are here. We are ready to go. So we're going to get the show on the road. As always, ask any questions that you need to. You need anything from me, please let me know, all right? Uh, hey, Fatima, good to see you. So as we go through, we're going to focus a lot on word problems, what things could look like. Listen, I didn't even do anything crazy. I don't know about y'all, but I do not sit in a chair normally, and I think I just, from all of the crazy angles I sit in, my back was like, we need to relax for a second. But no matter what we go through, we are going to focus on some word problems today. Haley. So as we go through, they are going to be some tougher problems, but we're going to practice everything up there to get up to that as well. So any part along the way, do the questions with us on your own, any of that, whether you have pen and paper or not, you can still do those things with us, all right? So really just ask yourself, do I understand what's going on? Can I answer the question? And if not, always ask. Hey, Red, good to see you. So if you want to let me know how many days into your test, I haven't talked to y'all in a week, so if you have some updates for me that you took your test or it's coming up sooner than we thought, please let me know as well. And as always, how you're feeling. I know math is everybody's favorite. We all feel it. We never have any issues here, and we're all happy. So as always, let me know as we go through what is happening. Part of math is mindset as well. So if I can help to change your mindset about math, you might feel a little bit better when you go into your test, all right? A lot of math is confidence. It is making sure that just because you studied a problem in an exact one way, you know why we did a problem that way as well. Hey, Adialo, good to see you. Kristen, next Tuesday, go. Next Tuesday is my birthday, so it is the perfect day for you to take that test. You'll be getting all of my energy that day as well. I will share that with you, no problem. This Friday, I always say excitement and nervousness are so much of the same energy. You're excited to take it and you're nervous, but I know you're all ready for it to be over. Hey, Kay. Yeah. I'm taking your test Wednesday. Oh, this week, this Thursday. So I'm going to be sending all of my energy to all of y'all that are taking it into the near future. If you are taking it in the next few days, one special advice before we start to get into our warm up. The closer you get to your test date and you start to feel panicked, you start to feel worried, you are going to want to find everything you've ever gotten wrong and convince yourself or get really stressed out that you don't know everything. It's normal, it happens. During those moments, that is your chance to find what makes you confident. It is last minute things. Don't beat yourself up for what you don't know. See what you can handle, right? Just like a buffet, you might not be able to get everything on your plate last minute, but what do you have and how strong is that, all right? So sending you all the luck. So what I would do, Lily, and as we go into this, what's most important across no matter what you are studying for, and then we'll jump into our warm-up. Just like if you're going on a road trip, you always need a plan. You also need to know where you're starting. So when you dive into a program, especially if you check out NurseHub, we have a lot there for you. But you need to know what you don't know. So if you take something like a free practice test that we have on our site, or if you want to take a diagnostic that we have, that will tell you where your strengths are and where you should start studying. So if you don't have all the time, you're not sure where to start, pick a subject, take a diagnostic, and that will tell you what you need to study and give you some focus. All right? Hey. Oh, next Tuesday as well. So listen, we're going to get through it. Please ask questions. I am always here. If something does not make sense, ask. I am going to drop our first question for today. A little intense. See if you can figure it out. But there's some things about this problem I also want to talk about. Hey, Kalani, you already know I love my New Jersey. I love my Jersey. I am from Union County originally, so Jersey is my favorite place in the entire world. So really, the diagnostic test should be at the beginning of any course that you go to. So if you are a subscribed member before you be able to take, or we should have it, it's when you go to our website, if you clicked on any of the courses for TEAS like math, reading, at the very top should be a diagnostic test. You're so welcome. Kalani, the game show should be, it's the first Tuesday of every month. So it should be next Tuesday on October 7th at night. Yeah, that's perfect. Well, exactly. When you figure out things that you need, it helps you tailor like where to go and absolutely study. So let's look at this problem. Take your time to figure out where you want to get started with that. Um, on Monday, Ayana sold 140 items. On Tuesday, she sold 40% more items than Monday. On Wednesday, she sold 25% less items than Tuesday. How many items did she sell on Wednesday? So word problem, but you understand that the behind the whole word problem is what topic, right? There should be something that sticks out that you're working with, and that should be where your brain goes, right? So I kind of picture when I studied math like chapters. So if one chapter is fractions, one chapter is percents, one chapter is ratios, I try to remind myself, where should I focus? So we could use ratios here, absolutely, depending on how you want to set this up. I agree. So I'm going to give y'all, let me check my time. I'm going to give you about 30 more seconds and then we're going to dive in. If you're not sure, at least have some place to start. So Kristen, 149, it could work. What I will say in the beginning is I create all these problems, but I do all of them with you so that if I make mistakes, you can see where my downfalls are and we can talk about all of those things. So I don't have the answers, but I will when we get there. We'll share, we'll discuss all of that. All right? So totally fine to put answers in, just know I do not know them yet. All right, so let's look at our first part, right? We know that our total for Monday is 140. I like to always write out what we're working with, so Monday is 140 items. All right, now we're dealing with Tuesday. So on Tuesday, she sold 40% more than Monday. So I need to add 40%. Now, how do I get to Tuesday's number? We know by reading the whole problem the first time, Wednesday is compared to Tuesday. So that means we need to know Tuesday's number. We can do this a few different ways. Y'all, I love the different answers coming in because I'm seeing if people did a trick that might not work. So I agree. So we can add, we're going to increase this by 40%. So 40%, if we change that to a decimal, is going to be 0.40 or 0.4. Now you can do two things. You can do 140 times 0.4, and that should equal, so 1428, that should give you 56. Then if you added that to 140, Tuesday's number should be 196 items. So this is going to be for nursing school. So if you're applying for the TEAS 7 for nursing school, this would help you for the TEAS or the HESI math. But if it fits anywhere else, you can actually use it. So this math is not going to look too different if you're anywhere else as well. So 196 items. You also could have done 140 times 1.4. And that would have brought you right to 196. Because if 40% more, that was 100% of the number, plus an additional 40% gets you to 196. So if Monday is 140, Tuesday is 196 items. Y'all, that takes us then to Wednesday. So if you're with me on the numbers so far, you should have 196 for Tuesday. Let's get to our Wednesday, all right? We see that it sold 25% less items. So it went down 25%. So what did we then do to find Wednesdays? So Riddy, this number, 140, this is equal to 100%, and you're adding 40%, which is the same as 140%. And if you divided 140% and made it a decimal divided by 100, it would equal 1.4. It's whether you want to do the growth separately or you want to combine it with the number. This happens when we make a number larger. We can add that 100% on to whatever the percent change is. So Wednesday, let's do this right here. I know I'm going to start with 196. Let's see. I'm checking. I'm checking to see if I'm laggy on my own end. Let me know if it continues or if there are issues. So 196, what are we going to do with the rest of it? How do I solve the rest of this problem? What did y'all do here? Because this can be a really tricky part. We're not adding, we're actually getting less than this. Yes, Mitch, we're going to multiply it by, so you can do this in two different ways. I love this. So A, 196, you can multiply this by 25%, and this will let you know how much it went down. So you know it dropped 25%, 196 times 0.25, that's going to equal a drop of 49. So that means you know how much it fell. Right, right. So I see the 25%. I love it. That would let you know how much it fell. So you could jump to 196 minus 49, and that's going to give you your answer. So 196 minus 49, like y'all had it, it is 147 items. But like Mitch said with 0.75, if you lost 25%, that means 75% remains. So if you saw that, you could have done this in one step, and that would have given you 147 items. Perfect. Yes, good. So Riddy, because the number was getting smaller, it was less than, we couldn't add on the 25% because 25% would have mean that we are increasing our amount. Kalani, let me finish this up and I'll get to the next one, I promise. All right, so two different ways to do this. None of these are objectively better or worse than the other one. It's just about what is your personal preference. So final answer to this problem, 147 items. All right, take a screenshot if you need this. If you like it, love it. Different ways to do this. If you like solving, we've done percentages with ratios and proportions as well. If that's the method you want to use, you could do that also. All right, questions here? Cool. If you have any, we will come back to them. What I wanted to go over is, again, we're sticking with our word problems, but I want to show you what do word problems look like for each of our topics. Word problems are the hardest. If we vary our topics, you'll get to practice everything within a topic in just one word problem. So if you see something like fractions, percents, know that just because we're practicing word problems, we're also practicing everything you could possibly see within that topic. All right? Yeah, well, hi, I love that. If you using 10% or 1%, always going to be a really good trick. I love that. Yeah, you could just use 1.4. That 0 at the end, you could knock it right out. So we're going to go over what to do during our word problems. I'm going to give you a plan. Use it. If it works, it works. If not, if not. But before that, one of the most important things, and I'm going to talk about this, give me 2-3 minutes, but if you understand this concept, you are going to make the rest of your life with percents, fractions, ratios, all of this incredibly easy. Bushra, yes! Congratulations on 92. That's awesome. You are so welcome. But remember, you went in there, you did that. That is on you as well. So go celebrate, go all of that. I love it. Sending you the best. Riddy, 147 was the answer. So if you know what to do with numbers that are greater than 1 or less than 1, I love the celebration here. Keep that up, y'all. The energy you let out is the energy that comes back to you. So if you can understand this concept with multiplying and dividing, it's going to help you figure out which one you should do much easier, much quicker. So if this is something you struggle with, hold on to this, all right? This is going to be helpful for percents, fractions, decimals, all of it. All right? Now, when we multiply, if I said to you what happens when we multiply, you automatically are going to tell me multiplication makes numbers larger. But that is not always the case, all right? So if we look with our starting number, 4, okay, yep, everything we're going to do here today, unless I tell you otherwise, is going to be HESI and TEAS. It's going to work together, all right? You'll see there's only 2 questions today that would be TEAS only, and that's going to be towards the end if we get there. Now, if I said we took a number like 4 and we multiplied it by 3, that's going to give us 12, right? So our starting value of 4 became 12. Our starting value increases. That's what you're normally used to. That's multiplication. So when I say multiplication and you say number gets larger, that makes sense. But there's a case where it doesn't happen that way. And if you know what that when multiplication actually makes numbers smaller, then you are on the right track to understand how percents work here. If we take that same number 4, but I multiply it by 1/2 or 0.5, if you put that into your calculator, if you have 4 times 0.5, you actually get the number 2. So multiplying can actually make numbers go down. When you multiply by a number that is less than 1, your value is going to go down. Opposite of what you're used to for multiplication. Usually makes numbers larger. What makes numbers smaller? When they are less than 1, especially between 0 and 1. Otherwise, you're in negatives, and then you end up with a negative. All right, so we're talking about between 0 and 1. So if you multiply between a number, multiply a number by a number between 0 and 1, it's going to get smaller. All right? It's the opposite of what you normally think. Same thing when we do division. If you have a number like 8 and you divide it by a number that's greater than 1, let's say 2, you end up with 4. Our original value went down. That's normal for division. That's regular. But what makes this opposite? Well, instead, if I took the number 8 and I divided it by 1/2, we actually end up with 16. So when we divide by a number that's less than 1 whole, it actually makes that value increase. So if you're asking yourself in conversions, do I multiply or do I divide? Think about what are you dividing by? If it's greater than 1, your answer will go down. Does that make sense? Or if you're dividing by a decimal that's less than 1, then your answer goes up. Does that make sense? Hey, Elvias. Hey, we were just in Orlando last week for the NLN conference. So if you know what happens when you are dealing with numbers between 0 and 1, you are going to jump into your equations much quicker. You're going to know already where your numbers are going to end up. And if you went the wrong direction, you just say, oops, I'm going to multiply instead of dividing it. So all of this stuff. So make sure you understand what happens when you multiply by a number greater than 1 and less than 1, and what happens when you divide by a number greater than 1 or less than 1. I love it. I love it. All right, that is going to be helpful when we jump into our next stuff. All right? I need to fix this background image and update it because our next class is not tonight at 8:30. It's actually at 7 with Brandon, but I cannot get up there to adjust it. So multiplication and division become opposite when you're dealing with a number between 0 and 1. So multiplying normally makes numbers bigger, but if they're between 0 and 1, you're making them smaller. Division, when you divide by a number greater than 1, usually makes your answer smaller, but if you divide by a decimal between 0 and 1, it makes your number larger, all right? Just know that that can happen. So we've been talking about our word problems. I've given you the pathway for this. We've done this for weeks now, but I want to make sure that if you're new, you still know it. We always read the entire problem. Then we go sentence by sentence and say, what am I trying to figure out, all right? Read the problem. Do you know what it's asking? We go sentence by sentence to see what we can do. And then at the end, we say, did I solve it? All right? If you want to, I was trying to rearrange this. So if you get excited about studying, you can say rah, rah. We read, we ask, we read, we ask. All right? Read the problem, figure it out where you're going to start to solve it, ask, did you solve it? All right? I wish I could give you more than that, but I guarantee if you take a problem slowly and you try this method, it's going to make more sense to you. All right? Might seem like a lot. The more you practice this, the quicker it'll feel as we go through. All right, we're going to jump into 2 word problems. We have 2 practice ones together. They are difficult. They're on the more difficult end, but that means we get to talk about everything in there. And should you see a problem like this, you feel prepared. And should your problems not be as hard as this, then you're also prepared. Either way, you're going to leave here feeling prepared and ask those questions, all right? So our first mini practice question, talking about, again, remember our decimal rules. That might come into play here. A hospital received an order of 1,800 tablets of medication. 30% of the medication is sent to the second floor. Of the remaining, 45% is sent to the third floor. How many tablets were not sent to the second or third floor? If you've ever watched the 1% Club, I feel like I should have this ominous timer that clicks. But no, as you go through this, figure out where do you want to start? What are you trying to solve? Make a plan. All right? Do you know what type of topic are we working in? Is this percent? Is it fractions? Get yourself situated, make a path, make a plan, then start. All right? Don't need you to finish the whole thing. It's okay if you don't even know how to start. But can you figure out or sort your information to help you? And if you have any questions about this initial beginning, let me know. We're going to jump into this in about 30 seconds. Are all of the questions going to look like this? No. No. But if they do, then we're prepared. And if they don't, like I said, you're also going to feel prepared. Ba-bum. And you're like, Monday morning, word problems, September, it is getting chilly. My favorite time. All right, so about 15 more seconds, and then we're going to start to go through this. I love that y'all say 693. Let's start to get ourselves through it. Yeah, absolutely. Plenty of word problems, and honestly, everything you do ends up feeling like a word problem when you get to nursing school math. Very, very similar to situations. All right, so let's walk ourselves through it. First sentence, a hospital received an order of 1,800 tablets of medication. So we know we start with 1,800 tablets. This is our total, right? Then you start to think, I love these numbers coming in. I know y'all are excited, and I don't know the answer. We'll see. Now you ask yourself, is my answer going to be greater than 1,800 or less? You're so welcome. Is my answer going to be greater than 1,800 or less than 1,800? Well, we're passing out the medication. So I know my answer, all of my numbers should be getting less. Exactly, right? So now we look at our second sentence. 30% of the medication is sent to the second floor. What do I do here? So 30% sent to the second. Listen, you need to triple task, get everything. You need to have you'll just get like a tool belt with a phone and a clip, all of it. So think about this, right? We know that 30% is really 0.3. Awesome. Taurus, hey, good to see you. Sneaking in here. So good to see you in here. We are going to multiply this. So 1,800 times 0.3. That's going to let us know. So 1,800 times 0.3. Y'all had it. That's 540. So if we take our 1,800 minus 540, that's going to let us know, sorry, you see in the top of my head, I got my calculator going, 1,260 tablets left, right? That's your new total. Oh my God, not the chat GPT. You're like, excuse me, I need to talk to my computer real quick. Perfect. So 1,260 are left, right? Now we go to our next sentence, only one at a time. Of the remaining, this is where you have to be careful. Of the remaining is talking about this. This is the remaining 1,260. We have a new amount that is 100%. We're not dealing with 1,800 anymore. Taurus, I see what you did, and I love it. So same idea. It's 45% less. 45% is sent, right? So 45% sent to the third. So we can figure out how much that is. 1,260 times 0.45. That lets us know, yes, 567 tablets to the third floor. Perfect. I heard you. I heard you. I saw that number at the end. I was like, there's no way. So I hear you. I glad. Right now, we know that that was getting sent, and we need to figure out how much is left. So, like y'all said, 1,260 minus 567. That's going to give us, y'all, 693 tablets. Y'all, those 693s, if you just got it now or you got it in the beginning, I am incredibly proud of y'all. We have come so far in word problems alone. If you're new to me or if you got this without me, take your win. But we have been working on word problems for so long, especially these, and I have never seen the people that I see weekly be so excited to share. So I am so happy for y'all. Hey, Sunshine, good to see you. So I feel like there were no complaints about this. There was no like, that is crazy. Know that this is where we continue to go through. Leopard, do you need me to move this whole thing up? I can do that for you. But we've been really trying and we're really, really working through our word problems. So I'm really, really proud of y'all. Hey, Mama, good to see you. If you also need to remove the chat to see this, you can hold on to the screen and then it will tell you that you can clear the chat and you'll be able to do that as well if you ever need to see things here. Yeah, just a half an hour late, but you know it's our method. We're still in our mini lesson, so it'll be okay. 693 then becomes our final answer here. Any questions about this one? But y'all snuck it. What's most important is that y'all are here. All right, so we have this here. Awesome. Good, good, good. And we are going to jump into another one. Yeah, Mitch, it is 693. All right. So so the problem here is what I want to talk about, and I'm glad you brought this up. 45% is out of what's remaining, and this 30% is out of 1,800. They're talking about two different amounts. So 30% is referring to 1,800 out of 100%, but when we went to the remaining, we weren't talking about the 1,800 anymore. It was actually about a different amount. And when we're comparing different sized amounts, we can't just add, our percentages are not additive then. Percents are only additive, meaning they can be combined or subtracted from one another when the same amount is 100%. I got a full desk. You know I did this on purpose. Yeah, totally fine. Mitch. So, Mitch, after the second floor, it was 540 we're on the second. We subtracted that and got 1,260. Sent to the third, 567 were sent to the third floor. We subtracted that and 690. Yeah. So, y'all, we found how many went to the second right here. That was 540 tabs went to the second floor. Our question said how many were not sent to the second or third floor. So if this is the second, this is the third, this amount will tell us how many were not sent. Yeah, totally okay. I always turn my percents into a decimal. So you've seen me do ratios before. Know that you don't always have to do that. Thank you, Well, I appreciate that. Yep, you had to figure out the first part of it in order to move on to figure out what of the remaining meant. Perfect. And if you hold on to where the comments are, like right above it, you should be able to clear, it says clear something, and you should be able to do that. I don't have my phone with me, but if someone could be able to tell you in here, you should be able to press down and get rid of it. So, Riddy, you could do that, and that would get you to the 693 right away. Thank you, Stephanie, Krista. Yeah, thank you for putting clear display. I appreciate y'all. Okay, if that one was challenging for you, I have a very similar one, but with different numbers and a different situation. All right, let's look at this one. We'll clear it. If you have any questions, you can't see any fractions, I will put them in for you. At a local high school, there are 1,296 students. A third of the students walk to school. Of the remaining students, a quarter are dropped off by car. The rest ride the bus. If each school bus holds 18 students, how many buses are needed to transport the students who ride the bus? All right, so take a second, ground yourself. There's a lot in here, and I threw an extra. You know, if y'all have been with me, you know exactly why I put in part of that last question at the bottom. Uh, Thank you so much, Kalani. I appreciate you taking off the likes for me. I love it. I love the support in here. Love y'all. So there's a lot here, but take the same method. Read the whole thing. That's what we just did. Can you figure out what are you dealing with here? What do you have to remember based on what you see in this problem? I see fractions, so I would think about what do I know about fractions, especially in word problems? What words am I paying attention to? Then start to go sentence by sentence and work your way through. All right? So, let's start to continue our way through. Where do we start? Where do we start? And I'm not always looking for comments. If you are in the heat of it, go with it. Follow your instincts. Get an idea, see if it works. That's the best way. Don't always wait for me to tell you. That's what you want to practice. Right, exactly. So we could absolutely turn our fractions into decimals, or you could multiply them out. It might be up to you, But let's look. Our total, in my mind, you're totally right. I'm waiting to show you the two different ways. So we know our total students are 1,296, right? Hey, Ghosty. So, so glad you're here. Welcome in. We know again, right? Our answers are going to go down. We're not getting more students at the school. That doesn't make sense. Our final answer will be less than this number of students. So it first says 1/3 of the students walk to school. Now I saw some multiplication in here. We see of the students. It didn't say 1/3 student, meaning a student is a third of themselves. No, 1/3 of the students, that's going to remind us that this is multiplication. So you can take 1,296 and you can multiply that by 1/3 of the magic word. I love it. Which is 1,296 over 3. 1,296 divided by 3, which lets us know 432 walk. I know I saw that above. Yes, Taurus, I know you had it. Yep, we divide that by 3. That lets us know that's how many are walking. Then we can subtract, right? So 1,296 minus 432. And that's going to say 864 that are car or the bus, right? Let's see. Right? So that is our part 1. We're not overwhelmed. We just did one thing at a time. Part 2, of the remaining students, 864, that's what we're remaining. 1/4 are dropped off by car. Yeah, exactly. So if 1/4 are by car, I can do 864 times 1 over 4. 864 over 4. I know 216 are doing what? They're getting dropped off. That's by car. Good. Good. Word problems will never, ever go away. Yep, Taurus, I just scrolled up. You had that too. We're on the same page. I love that. So now we have 864 minus 216. 864 minus 216. That gives us 648 students need the bus, right? We did, Riddy. We said we had to subtract twice. 648 for the bus, and then we check. Sorry, when I pause, I always like to think of your answers before I respond. So we know each bus holds 18 students, right? So we need groups of 18. 648 divided by 18. And you will get 36 buses. Yes, yes, y'all, 36. I'm going to put that answer up here, that our final answer is 36 buses. All right, y'all. Now, so Stephanie, I would check if you used, so be careful. If you're going to use fractions in here, sometimes if you rounded off the decimal, it'll change what your answer might be. So if you got something like 36.01 or something like that, it could be based on if you use like 0.333 or anything like that. You can, what I would really remember, what I would have y'all do if you can, include enough threes so that, like, if you know it's 1/3, right? So we know 1/3. This is where it can get tricky for you. We know it's 3 repeating forever. When I do this, just to make sure, just include a few more 3s than you might think if you're going to put that in there, just so that you don't get something rounded or throw yourself off. I mean, 30, that's a lot of buses. 18 on a bus, you know those buses might be fancy. 864, so we found here first how many walk. A third of them walked. So if we know that 432 students walk, we subtracted that from the total number of students, which let us know that the remainder, which are car and bus students, that was how many were left if we took the walkers out. Yeah, so Stephanie, if you no, yeah, just keep, as I would say, like 3 or 4 decimal places, you're always going to be okay. I would say always 3. The fourth is if like a number's repeating and you get a little nervous, but I would say 3 to 4 if they have it, perfect. 18, because each school bus holds 18 students. So if we have 648 students that ride the bus, and it's 18 students per bus, we need to divide it and let us know that it's then 36 buses. Yeah, absolutely. No, you have to be careful, especially there's always going to be things hidden everywhere in here. All right? Be really, really careful. Yeah, totally fine. Always, always, always. All right, y'all. So these type of problems, we've been working on them. Know that every part of your word problem is going to look like this? No. But we practice so much in this that we can make thousands of questions out of what we just did. Divide the under. Exactly. I agree. Read for full understanding. Be really, because that's where they're going to trick ya. All right, y'all. So if you want to check it like this, Red, I just want more clarification on your question. I want to make sure I answer it correctly. That's what I was pausing to read. I want to make sure. All right, so if you want to check this out, we have premium subscriptions over at nursehub.com. You can check out the link. Head over, link in our bio. Go to the website. It is there. All of the questions that you need. Thousands of questions for the HESI and the TEAS, all subjects over there. Math alone is me, 55 videos, like for each of them, walking you through exactly what you need, always summed up with a word problem thing at the end. And I will be live tonight, but it's dosage over on our NCLEX account. So I will be doing dosage calculation. If you're in nursing school or you started or want to know what dosage looks like, I'll be on at 7 over there as well. All right, y'all, our questions for today. What are we going to cover? We're going to work with our fractions, conversions, and if we have time, get to some geometry and data. Dosage is tonight at 7 p.m. on our nursehub_NCLEX account. But tonight at 7 is going to be Brandon with Chem here on this account. Awesome. I'll see y'all over there if you are joining me. These are what we're going to be working. They are definitely some mini buses. We'll just pretend like they're all just mini buses. That's all they could get. There was a sale on mini buses. All right, so we're going over fractions, conversions, geometry, and data today. And if we get to geometry and data, know that that is going to be TEAS only, but fractions and conversions are going to be, fractions and conversions, That's what we're going to stick to. So dosage, I would say if you are studying for the Hesse or the TEAS, definitely stick to our Hesse and TEAS math. But leave dosage for when you are ready for it. But if you're taking the Hesse or the TEAS, stay there. And then that time in between, I would say definitely come over to dosage. I know, I know, but we got to be careful. Kim is also at 7. All right, so let's jump into it. We love our fractions. We've done word problems, so let's do something that is a little bit more straightforward, work our way through it. So we have our fractional problem here, 3.5 plus 2 7/8 divided by 1 3/5. Goes to you're fine, you're fine. All right, so as we go through, what do you do first when you look at a problem like this, all right? Stephanie should be able to, absolutely. It is, so we have our mixed numbers here, honey. Yes. What do we do when we have mixed numbers? What should be your first step every time, right? Come up with a plan. What is the best way to start? Make your plan before you start. Easier, you don't have to change anything, and you haven't walked yourself in any direction yet. Well, I will say for these, you could. You could turn these into decimal. Like if you know what the more you work with certain fractions and you know what they turn into, you could, but it's going to be tricky at the end. I'm going to go with improper fractions here as well. So 3.5. That's 2 7/8, and we have 1 3/5. All right. It's so. You can also check out any of our archived lives. We have all of our previous lives over on NurseHub too, and I've covered everything there. So 2 times 3 gives us 6, plus 1 is 7. So this gives us 7 halves. 2 7/8, 8 times 2 is 16, plus 7 is 23. So that's 23 over 8, and 1 3/5. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 equals 8, so we have 8/5 here. Not always luck. It's that hard work that y'all put in. I know you. All right, so, but we have to be careful. Where do we start, right? Where do we start here? So, Kristen, what we do is we take our denominator of 5, we multiply it by our numerator, and then add the denominator times our whole number. So 5 times 1, and then you add on the numerator. Yeah, PEMDAS, so we have to stick to our opening, which is right here, right? Even though we know division should come first, the parentheses let us know, we have to do this addition first, all right? So make sure parentheses should be that flag that you look for first. So we have now 7 over 2 plus 23 over 8. Ghosty, I might have to make my own, like, I have to figure out a way to make sure I don't get in trouble for playing that during here. Or if I can make sure that the right people get the right credits for that song. Be a great intro. So we're adding. What do you need when you're adding your fractions? Even if you don't type it in, this should be where you're getting pushed to, right? Of like, if I ask this question and you don't know, that's something you should write down. Right, Madeline, we need our common denominators. We need our LCM, which might also be called the LCD. So not like the screen, but least common denominator or least common multiple. You'll see both. They mean the same thing. All right, so what is it for these two? Butterfly method is comparing your fractions. 8. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 8. Exactly. So our LCM is going to be 8. Butterfly method, Stephanie, is when you're figuring out which fraction is larger. You can multiply across and see which one is larger. But be careful not to do that here. So 7 halves. We know our new denominator is 8. That's what it says. So we know it has to equal out of 8. How does that happen? 2 times 4, 7 times 4, so we get 28 eighths. Yes, good. Kalani, you have it as well. You are ready for us. So if we added it, 28 over 8 plus 23 over 8, that's going to give us 51 over 8. So we multiply it by 4 because you have to figure out, we changed our denominator. It was 2, it now has to be 8. In order for 2 to become 8, it has to be multiplied by 4. And what we do to the denominator, you also have to do to the numerator. So you're going to multiply by 4 again up top. All right? Yep, I actually was an elementary and middle school math teacher. I taught everything 3rd through high school geometry for about 12 or 13 years. Yeah, you're so welcome. Perfect. So now we have our answer for part 1, which now we can do divided by 8/5, right? We're doing the second part of the problem. Thank you, Mitch. You should look into it. I love it. It was not where I started, but it's where I ended up, and I could not have imagined myself anywhere else. Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Yes, y'all, we're doing the keep, change, flip. The keep, the change, and we're doing our flip. So we keep the first fraction always the same. That's 51 over 8. We change our division symbol to multiplication, and we flip our fraction over, 5 over 8. Y'all, I got so excited. I really was hoping that 8 stayed on top, but it does not. So it does not make our lives easier, unfortunately. But here we are good to go. I don't see anything if I look cross diagonally. I don't see anything that we can simplify. 5 and 8, they only share a 1. 51 and 8, they only share a 1. So there's nothing we can do here but multiply across. So 51 times 5, that's going to give me 255 over 64. Just double check with me. So when we multiply, the denominator does not stay the same. It only stays the same when we're adding or subtracting, but when we're multiplying or dividing, our denominator is going to change. We end up multiplying them together. So 255 over 64, but y'all know that is not going to be in your answer choices, right? They're going to give you, your answer choices are going to be mixed numbers, just like what you had in the beginning. So Lex, you can, but it's only a 4-function calculator, so just like what I have right here, that's all you can do. Add, subtract, multiply, divide. So Stephanie, if they ask you like which of these 2 fractions is larger, that's the butterfly method. Like that's when you're multiplying the 2 numbers and comparing up top. That's when you're comparing if a fraction is larger than the other. Lex, you're so welcome. So here's what I'm going to show you how to do this on your calculator. This really means 255 divided by 64. Now, if you do that, 255 divided by 64, that's going to give you 3.984, right? Totally okay. Totally okay. So what it means is our whole answer is 3. But what I need is my remainder. Now, don't forget, my denominator was 64. That doesn't change. But I need the fraction that's going to go on top. I need my numerator. It didn't work out perfectly, so I need to know. What I can do is take the decimal portion, 0.984, and multiply it by 64, my denominator. And when I do that, 0.984 times 64, I get 62.9, which is close to 63, which is my remainder. So I actually found, by using the decimal portion, yes, we can multiply it, and you would find out, multiply it by your denominator, that's going to tell you what your remainder is. Whatever it's closest to, it'll be like Really, really close. Like mine was 62.976. That's so close to 63. I know that had I had the right decimal places, it would have given me 63. Always, so here's what you want to remember to this part. Always use the denominator. Chaos, I can believe it. When we work through it, right? Of like, there's so many things that are clicking. You have to, when you trust the process, you see it, clarify it. What I want you to make sure is if this clicked for you, or even if it doesn't, figure out what part of this did I just say that made it really strong? What did you do differently this time that made you say, oh, that's what I did differently? If something clicks, if you know why or where the click happened, that's where you retain it because now you remember, you've internalized it, okay? Decimal portion that's left times your denominator will always give you your remainder. That is your trick way of doing this without using long division. Otherwise, you have to do long division. Yes. Lex, the numerator in your final answer, if it's a mixed number, the numerator should always be smaller than the denominator. Otherwise, we call that an improper fraction, and it's kind of off balance. When you're finding the least common multiple, so say, for example, like if we had 3/7 and 4/5, you're looking for where 5 and 7 cross. So that's like saying 5, 10, 15, 7, 14, 21, 28, 35. We would keep counting until they had a number in common. And that's how we find our least common denominator. We want to make sure that there's the same number of pieces for both things that we're talking about. That's why we have to find a common denominator. The pieces have to be the same size, otherwise we don't know how to talk about them. Okay? Questions about this? So that the final answer here is, let me put that up there for you. Oh my gosh, there's so much writing. We'll put the final up top. Your final answer would be 3 and 63/64. That's our final answer. You're so welcome. Yeah, y'all, if when you ask these questions, Chaos, as long as you got what, the only thing I care about is that we have the same answer. So if you did it a little differently, but you ended up here and it's something that works, then we can celebrate, all right? My methods, you might have different ones. What's always most important is that you know how you got your answer. You could do it again, and our answers are the same. Okay? Y'all, we have time for one more. I have it, and anything we do not finish today, I'm back live tomorrow night at 7 p.m. So whatever we don't do today, I'm just going to do tomorrow. Yeah, then Chaos, you're totally fine. Totally fine. All right? Most important part is that you got the answer right and you know how you did it. Because when you take the test, I want to make sure you know how you did it, and you could do it again when you see a similar problem. All right? All right, we have our last one here. It is conversions. I might do conversions differently for you. That's okay, but I'm going to show you some different methods. Totally works with it. Tomorrow night is at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm on the East Coast, so if you hear me say time, I am always going to default to Eastern. All right, so we have here a patient weighs 138 pounds and is 64 inches tall. What is the patient's height and weight in metric units, centimeters, and kilograms? Totally okay, and that's why we're going to cover it. I need to enter back in my metric chart. I have a helpful metric chart for this one for you. So, if you know this, and we know, okay, I love it. We know kilograms and pounds. Sorry, sometimes I jump ahead of myself about what I'm about to say. We know kilograms and pounds. Do you know which is which? Like, in your mind, which, oh my gosh, which system has smaller numbers usually? I think about the gym and I think of weights, and that helps me, but it really is 1 kilogram is equal to 2.2 pounds. Right? Yeah, I see. What I see is I know some of us are multiplying, some of us are dividing. I'm going to show you in case you're not sure what to do and how you can set it up. I like to do it like this. I set up a proportion because sometimes I've talked myself out of going the right way. So for example, if I know 1 kilogram is equal to 2.2 pounds, and I'm doing a weight problem, this is 138 pounds. I match my units, pounds to pounds, that's 138. I put up an X, and then I'd be able to cross multiply and solve this. So 2.2 times X is 2.2X. Set that equal to 1 times 138, 138. Divide by 2.2, divide by 2.2, and that's going to get us 138 divided by 2.2 should give you, yep, 62.727. But as you'll know, and Taurus, I'm glad you said this. I can tell you've been with me for dosage. Weight is always rounded to the nearest 10th. They may not tell you. They'll most likely show you that it's to the 10th. You won't have to do this. But final answer for weight should be 62.7 kilograms. All right? So if you're someone who says, I'm really confused, I don't know if I should be multiplying or dividing when I'm doing my conversions, set up a proportion. It does it for you. All right? So you cross in a proportion. Cross multiplication happens when there's an equal sign in the middle. Okay? And I'll show you again for the second one. I love it though. I love to see it in action. It makes me so happy. Because I'm just wanting to make sure that y'all feel successful. So to watch it happen, I love it. I love it. All right, so 64 inches tall. Y'all, you had it too. Let's talk about our conversion rate. This is centimeters to inches. So be careful. So with this one, a kilogram, always, pounds are a smaller unit. Kilograms take up more space, so it takes more pounds to equal 1 kilogram. If you have this, if you can remember that 1 kilogram is equal to 2.2 pounds, set up your proportion, set it equal to what you're solving for, cross multiply. So much easier. Yeah, I set up a proportion. If you can remember the conversion, because you might not be given them, set it up this way. So this is absolutely one that I use. 2.54 centimeters is equal to 1 inch. I always think of a ruler. I just remember from a kid that an inch is always larger than a centimeter, so it takes more centimeters to equal an inch. So if I'm worried about the order, that's what I do. Exactly. So I do, not with me right now. I switched the format of this. Come tomorrow night, and I will have that up there. I'll include it. Yep, this is always going to work for all conversions, Stephanie, and I'll show you again. So if we set this up, right, 2.54 centimeters, this is our conversion rate, over 1 inch. I have my equal sign, and the only thing I need to do to make sure that this is going to work is that if I have centimeters on the top, centimeters need to stay on the top. And if I put inches on the bottom, then inches have to stay on the bottom. Then I just put in the right numbers. So this is saying 64 inches tall. So I'm going to put 64 inches down here, and I'm looking for X centimeters. That's what goes up top. Because that would tell you the number of feet. You'd now be getting feet. So 64 divided by 12 would tell you the number of feet and the decimal of. But if you don't have the conversion to get into metric units, we are trying to go from standard or our household units into the metric system. So we need to have I always figure out what conversion rate do I know first. Then I figure out, do I have to change anything from what I was given? Here, because we have the equal sign in the middle, that's a proportion. I can cross multiply now. So 1 times X is equal to 2.54 times 64. And that's going to equal 162.56 centimeters. Right? So a lot of you love to jump to like multiplying or dividing by the conversion rate. I always got really confused with that because Even last year, I talked myself out of the right conversion in the middle of teaching. I don't like to do that. I like to set up proportions because if you set up the proportion and you cross multiply, it automatically will tell you what to do. For example, if you looked at that first one, I didn't know if I was multiplying or dividing, but when I cross multiplied, the problem told me to do that. Stephanie, just make sure if it's 6, check your numbers that you multiplied and you didn't do 2.45. You might, because you're only a little off, so you could have actually inverted the numbers. Just check that you didn't mistakenly rearrange them. Really, really easy to do when a lot of these conversions have some small decimals, but I can cover tomorrow night, again, what type of conversions you need to know to be really successful. But one thing I can tell you is if you know all of your household measurements and you know all of your metric prefixes, it's a lot easier. The only other one that you need, I'll give you the third conversion here. What is it? Weight, distance, volume. 1 ounce is equal to 30 milliliters. Yeah, Stephanie, I knew it. I knew it. I figured, I was like, she is too close. There has to be a missing decimal somewhere. So, honestly, it doesn't matter in a proportion as long as what matches matches. I could have put 1 inch over 2.54 centimeters and I would have been fine. As long as you keep it equal across. So if you put centimeters on top, then centimeters should be on the top. But if I put inches on top, then inches should be on the top. Tomorrow night will be 7 p.m. Perfect. As long as you have it done one way, you're good to go. It'll be 7 p.m. Eastern. All right. LVS, that's actually on my agenda for tomorrow night. So I have it down. We'll do algebra. We'll work through. But what I want to show y'all, you can see I have more problems coming through. But if you want to check out my course, everything that we do, yes, it is Eastern time. My course, this is what it looks like. It's exactly like what I do here. You'll see this as sample question 9, and this is just from one video about subtracting mixed numbers. I give you every type of example you could possibly see for fractions, percents, anything that you could see on the HESI or the TEAS, with full answer explanations, talking you how we did it and why we did certain things. So if you want to go check it out, I wrote it. It's my voice. It's all my questions. So go check that out if you're looking for it. Dinner time math. Yeah, absolutely. And most importantly, I really want to shout out my team. We have an incredible team, not only here on our NurseHub TikTok site, but also on NurseHub NCLEX. But if you're studying for the HESI or the TEAS, these are all the people you need to see. What I did want to say is that what you'll notice is that normally Kate is Monday nights at 8:30, but for this week, she will be on Wednesday. I think this is it should be there on Wednesday. Oh, my schedule is all over the place. So check that out. I think I have mine wrong, but I will be back tomorrow night at 7. Y'all are wonderful. And I can't wait to see y'all tomorrow. So if you have any questions, show up tomorrow, let me know. But again, I am Brian over here at NurseHub, and I will see y'all tonight at 7 if on the NCLEX account for dosage calc, and tomorrow night at 7 on this account for more HESI and TEAS math. All right? All right, y'all. Go enjoy the rest of your Monday. Ghost Tea. It's always a pleasure to see you. I'm going to go celebrate listening to that PEMDAS song for the rest of the day until I see y'all tonight. Y'all are so welcome. Can't wait to see y'all soon. Enjoy the rest of the day. Taurus, I don't have it with me right now. It's tomorrow night. Tomorrow night I'm going to bring it. I promise. Bye, Stephanie. You're so welcome.